Hey there. Welcome back. If your brain's been loud all day and you're looking for something soft, strange, and oddly comforting to fall asleep to, you're in the right place. Tonight, we're dimming the lights and stepping back into a world where your mood was ruled by moonlight. Leeches were medicine, and therapy came with a side of holy water. Before you drift off, let's take a slow stroll through a time when anxiety was treated with bloodletting. Depression meant you had too much black bile, and your local priest doubled as your therapist/exorcist. Settle in, fluff your pillow, and let's gently unravel the bizarre history of how people used to treat sadness, stress, and spirits long before we had science or scented candles. Somewhere between a candlelit chapel and a medieval garden full of questionable herbs lies the answer to one big question. What did people do when their minds felt off? Tonight, let's find out. Very slowly. If you genuinely like my content, hit that like button and subscribe. And hey, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what you think about this topic. It's really awesome to see how far and wide our audience in this channel. Let us take a gentle step back in time, not to the lands of heroes and kings, but to the quiet corridors of the medieval mind. A world where the winds of belief carried whispers of spirits and stars, and where the understanding of the heart and soul moved more like the moon's slow, silver orbit than the clear logic of a modern day. Tonight, we drift not toward action or conquest, but into the tender mystery of how the people of the Middle Ages understood the inner workings of the mind, their dreams, their disturbances, their delicate dances between despair and ecstasy. It was a world lit by candlelight and guided by the stars, where mental well-being was seen through the mingling of air and spirit, blood and bile, moonlight and prayer. In this world, the self was not divided. The mind was no distant island. It was a chamber within the body's cathedral, deeply affected by its humors and holiness. The theory of the four humors, blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm, was the lens through which health, emotion, and reason were all perceived. This belief, flowing from ancient Greece and preserved by Roman and Islamic scholars, infused every diagnosis with a sense of elemental balance. Too much heat or dampness, too little dryness or cold. These could sway not only the body, but the thoughts and spirit within. Mental illness was not yet a whisper of neurons and chemistry. It was a current, a misalignment, a fog rolling in from the unseen forces of the cosmos and the soul. Treatments aimed to recalibrate, to restore harmony. The troubled were not asked about their feelings in the way we might today. Instead, they were examined for signs in their fluids, in the stars, in the behavior of the body. And so, the medieval journey into the mind begins, not as a straight path, but a winding pilgrimage through belief, ritual, and the yearning to soothe what could not always be named. This is a tale of learned monks and midwives, of whispering winds and watchful moons, of sorrow treated with salt and prayers, and of hope kindled in the quiet corners of cloisters and kitchens. Let your thoughts settle like dust upon a chapel floor. Let the present day drift away, like incense rising into vaulted rafters. For the story we tell now is old and slow and softly spun. This is the world of medieval mental health, a tapestry of ancient understanding, tender misinterpretation, and the timeless desire to heal the unseen. Breathe in the stillness, dear listener. We are just beginning. In this tapestry of belief and ritual, the experience of women bore particular weight. The medieval understanding of a woman's body was shaped by ancient notions, most notably the idea of the wandering womb. This belief held that a woman's womb could move within her body, causing emotional unrest, hysteria, or even madness. It was not malice, they thought, but misplacement. Her internal balance had simply lost its way. Treatments ranged from the soothing to the surreal. Herbal concoctions brewed in earthen pots were common. Lavender for calm, mugwort for clarity, pennyroyal for grounding. At times, aromatic salves were applied to lure the womb back to its rightful place. More troubling were the enforced marriages, forced pregnancies, and physical interventions. A woman's mind, they believed, could be quieted by returning her to her natural role, to bear, to nurture, to serve. Intellect, independence, fatigue. These two were suspect. A woman who read too often, who refused to marry, who walked in solitude at twilight. Such traits stirred suspicion. And when her voice rose in protest or poetry, she might be named not a thinker, but a witch. The line between insight and insanity, between healer and heretic, was perilously thin. Yet not all accepted the church's grip on healing. In cottages, nestled in forests, along moors veiled in mist, women known as wise women or cunning folk offered care through herbs, touch, and listening. Their cures were not forged in books, but passed from mother to daughter, midwife to apprentice. They saw the soul in silence, the illness in imbalance, and healing in warmth and story. These folk healers practiced with gentleness. They laid hands on aching foreheads, brewed teas of valerian and sage, sang lullabies to ease anxiety. They were, to many, the true caretakers of the mind. But their independence and intuition often made them targets. As their fame grew, so too did fear. Accusations of witchcraft followed, turning healers into hunted. The healing touch became a mark of danger. Still, some who suffered were not hidden, but held. Communities had their holy fools, their village eccentrics. A man who spoke in riddles might be seen as touched by God. A woman who danced alone at dawn might be left offerings. In certain places, the mad were not feared, but folded into the village life. Their strangeness seen not as a threat, but as mystery. And there were those hidden behind doors, kept from view not by chains, but by shame. Families whispered. Curtains were drawn. Madness, while believed to be of the spirit, carried with it a quiet social sorrow. To admit a troubled son, a grieving mother, a restless daughter, this was to risk ridicule, to invite questions. Even joy could be questioned. Excessive laughter, too much mirth, an overly vivid imagination, all could mark someone as unstable. To talk to animals, to sit too long in silence, to weep for no reason. These were not seen as human nuance, but as signs of imbalance. Spiritual apathy, what we might now call depression, was labeled acedia, a sin of sloth, a failure to feel God's presence. And yet, even in this world of misunderstanding, compassion stirred. A neighbor bringing soup, a healer whispering stories, a monk offering a quiet place to rest. There were moments of tenderness between the rituals and fears. But time, ever flowing like a slow river, began to carry new ideas upon its current. Even within the sacred hush of cloisters, and beneath the flickering torches of early hospitals, knowledge began to drift in from distant lands. Translations of ancient Greek and Arabic texts, works by Galen, Avicenna, Hippocrates, found their way into monastic libraries and the hands of curious scholars. With these scrolls came seeds of new thought. They did not immediately erase the old beliefs, but rather wove into them like new threads into an ancient tapestry. The four humors remained, yet were reinterpreted with more structure, more anatomy. Observations grew more detailed. Minds began to be studied not just through prayer and ritual, but through the rhythms of behavior, the cause of symptoms, the structure of thought itself. Hospitals grew more common, and though still rudimentary, some began to distinguish between physical and mental ailments. Beds were made not just for the fevered and wounded, but for those who heard voices or wept without reason. The approach was still rooted in containment and fear, but there was a new softness in places, a sense that the afflicted might be understood, not just feared. Philosophers began to write of the soul's layers, the divisions of memory and intellect, the nature of grief. Thomas Aquinas spoke of reason and will, of divine order and human frailty. Though wrapped in theology, such discussions nudged open the door for more nuanced views. Madness, in some circles, was beginning to be seen not as sin alone, but as sorrow, imbalance, misfortune. The Renaissance, still centuries away, cast its first glimmers here, in the turning of pages, the sharpening of questions, the slow replacement of fear with curiosity. The sacred did not vanish, but was joined by the secular. Astrology gave way to astronomy. Ritual gave way to remedy. In the slow dawn of modern medicine, the mind was no longer wholly a mystery nor a curse. And yet, the medieval beliefs lingered. The echoes of humors, of moons and spirits, of sin and sanctity. They did not disappear, but echoed into the future. Even today, we feel their presence in our language, in our metaphors, in our understanding of what it means to suffer within. So rest now, dear listener, wrapped in the hush of centuries. Know that the journey to understand the mind has always been long and winding. From the stars above to the herbs beneath our feet, from the psalms sung in stone chapels to the murmurs of old women in candlelit kitchens, healing has always been both science and story, both fear and love. Let these thoughts dissolve like mist. Let the voices of the past become a lullaby, old and soft. You have walked through the shadows of medieval understanding. Now may you find stillness, like a leaf upon a sleeping stream. The tale is told. The night is long. Rest now. Drift. Deeper. Still. And now, in the soft hush that follows the turning of pages, let us linger for a moment longer in the gentle twilight of reflection. The story of the medieval mind, though shaped by stars and saints, by bile and breath, was ultimately a story of yearning, for understanding, for compassion, for healing. As the flicker of torchlight fades and the voices of monks and midwives grow faint, we remember that every age has sought to grasp the invisible threads that shape our thoughts, our dreams, our despair. In their rituals, however strange, lived a hope to soothe suffering. In their errors, a desire to mend. In their prayers, a wish for peace. Let that peace now wash over you. Feel it like morning mist across the fields of memory. Let the stones of old abbeys crumble into silence. The tinctures of the wise women blend with the soil. The stars return to their long, slow orbit. You have walked the cloisters of another time. You have touched the trembling pulse of belief. You have seen how deeply humanity has always longed to cradle the mind, to ease the ache within. So close your eyes, if they are not closed already. Let the past become a gentle hum beneath your thoughts. Let sleep come like snowfall, soft and slow. And may the echoes of ancient prayers, the whispers of moonlit healers, the hush of quiet hope, all cradle you in their arms tonight. Good night, dear soul. Sleep well. The story waits for no end, only rest.